This here is Eufaula. You'll see a part of Eufaula. This is the kind of the main road coming in from the north into Eufaula, and a lot of very, very nice old houses that are just huge. Annabella Southern homes, and there's a couple streets each way of these kind of homes. Well, there was a lot of money in Eufaula at one time. I'm just gonna talk about random things. That's all this video is about. Just kind of enjoy the views and listen to my views on different things. Uh, First, I'm heading to town because I need to go to Georgia to buy lottery tickets, and this town's right on the border with Georgia. You just have to cross the big lake, and then you go into Georgia. And I need to buy my wife some lottery tickets. I needed to go to Winn-Dixie to get a couple of things we didn't get at the store that we'd forgotten to get. You always go grocery shopping, and then you realize there's things you didn't get, so you have to go back again to get a few more things. That's how it always seems to work out for me. That's a really nice old town. They're restoring this one here on the right here. Really cool kind of building. Looks like it belongs in New Orleans or something. Anyway, first thing, there's my dog. That's Hilda. She's barking at people driving past. She loves to go with me, so I had to take her with me. When I went to the grocery store, I had to leave the window rolled down and the truck running to keep the air conditioner on for her. Even though that may be a waste of gas, but it isn't when you got a dog to keep alive. And I ain't worried about anybody breaking in there, because if anybody tried to open that door, she would attack them. So, you know, I should go nuts and they wouldn't even bother. Here I am getting ready to go over the bridge. This vegan that's been stalking me and trying to get me triggered, even though this person's way triggered, said a few things yesterday and answered. She's like, well, what if I took a human baby and decided to kill it? I said, well, you do whatever the hell you want. I don't care. I said, but I warn you that humans are very greasy and high in cholesterol. Oh, she didn't take that one very well. And she proceeded to say what did she say? She went and said that, accused me of being a mass murderer, that I'm taking part in the genocide of animals. And I said, would you say that to a tiger, a wolf, or a shark? Because she's also an atheist, and most vegans are. Not all, though. There are some Christian vegans, actually, but most of them are atheists that I've run across. Anyway, so I said, well, and I'm an animal, and so if I'm an animal, then it must be just as wrong for a tiger to kill than it would be for me to kill to eat. Because, I have a farm, I raise rabbits and chickens and turkeys, and we do kill them, and then we do consume them. That's part of farm life. That's part of my life and the way I choose to live my life. I make sure the animals live as humanely as they can, and when we do kill them, we use a 22. I don't, like a lot of people will cut rabbits' throats. I don't do that. I just rather, just shoot them in the back of the head with a 22, and they don't know what hit them. They're just sitting there eating grass, and boom, they're dead. Then we clean them. That's quick and easy, and probably the best way. And chickens, well, they're a little different. Their heads are way smaller, so it's a little harder to get a 22 on them. Usually end up cutting their heads off, but and letting them bleed out. It's kind of a, I don't know, when I was a kid, my dad would kill chickens, he'd throw them at me, and these headless chickens running around, and they would freak me out as a young child. I'd never do that to my kids. My kids are grown now. We didn't have any chickens when we had kids. We bought all our food from the grocery store. Now, the plan is, to slowly get more and more meat in the freezer. Right now, because it's so hot, I'm keeping 2-liter bottles of water in the freezer. Let me move this mic down here, easier for me to talk. There it is. Okay. So you know, I take 2 liter bottles of water, I freeze them in the freezer, and then I take them out to the rabbits and put them in each cage. And I was doing just regular Coke bottles, you know, the ones you get a 6 pack and they're plastic and they're smaller. But we found out that those thaw out too quick. So we switched to 2 liter bottles because they'll hold the ice for a couple hours, even in this heat, and stay cold. So that, and I look at the temperature and I try to time it so like 3 hours before the because they'll stay frozen for 3 hours, and before the temperature starts dropping. So, you know, I just got through doing that now. Just got through putting. They're back into Eufaula. We just went into uh, Georgia. Now we're back in Alabama. The old hotel that's stripped out. There's a couple hotels around here, and then there's a couple in town, but not a lot of hotels in this. There's a Hampton Inn. That's about the fanciest. That's over next to Walmart, and then there's a Days Inn. There's Hilda. She barking at Daddy. I took her for a big walk, and even though it's heat, you know, she doesn't like to be out in the heat. She's kind of spoiled. She's spoiled to air conditioning. Even though those dogs were bred to live in the desert, it's an Australian Shepherd, and they don't actually come from Australia. People think, you know, they actually come from the United States and Mexico. They were bred to herd sheep in the southwest desert areas, and when Australia was buying their sheep, they were buying them from the U.S. We were about the closest sheep producing country to Australia. They're just straight across the Pacific, so Australians would buy a bunch of sheep in the United States and have them shipped to Australia, and the sheep herders would throw in a couple puppies, Australian Shepherd puppies, and then these dogs came back to the U.S. and so, you know, some of them have Australian or Australian, I don't know, origins, but you know, they have the bloodlines of the ones that went to Australia. Some of them don't, so you never know really. But that, if you ever go out to Southern California and Arizona, or even to Baja in Mexico, and you see sheep herders, you'll see they have Australian Shepherds. The Mexican sheep herders, a lot of them are actually of Basque origin. A lot of sheep herders. Just a little fun fact. And Hilda's an Australian Shepherd. She's a little small. She's a lot smaller than her mom and dad were. You could say she's a mini, but her parents weren't minis, so I don't know if she qualifies as a mini Australian Shepherd. A lot of these old Confederate statues here in town. There's that building from another angle. And here we go up. This is kind of a back way out of town. Not the usual route I took. I took this route just to film it. There's a Piggly Wiggly. There's actually 2 Piggly Wigglies in Eufaula. And there's a Piggly Wiggly in Union Springs. So I live in, you know, near 3 Piggly Wigglies. I rarely shop there because I think they're kind of expensive. But they have good sales on meat. So yeah, I do go there and look to see the meat. And sometimes you can get lunch there. And I need to stop by their bakery because for my birthday, I want a German chocolate cake. I stopped by Winn-Dixie and asked the deli there. They do make cakes, but they don't make German chocolate cakes. So I even asked them, I said, what if I buy the German chocolate frosting? Could you make them? No, because we don't have a computer code for it. I don't know. So I guess I'll just put a computer code for another type of frosting, you know, but I don't know. I might be able to talk them into it, but I'm going to check some other bakeries. I'm not sure if the Walmart here has a bakery. Some of them do. I'll check Piggly Wiggly's and see if any of them have bakeries. I don't know if they do or not, but yeah, there's some nice homes in Eufaula and a few of them for sale. So if you're looking for a small town that has, you know, everything you need, you know, 4 grocery stores and lots of different amenities. They don't have a movie theater though. You have to drive up to Dothan or Columbus or Opelika Auburn. You have to go to those places to go to movie theater. Troy. Troy's not too terribly far. You could go there. That's where we go for medical care. Um, this is not sure which road this is, but yeah, here we're heading down it anyway. Um, this is heading back home. These are the roads back home from Eufaula. Um, so a lot of farmland. You can't really see the farms because these trees are alongside the road. So you could be going, it could be a forest in them trees. You can see how this tree line's open. You can see the sky through there. So there's a field there, probably either peanuts or cotton. That's pretty much what they grow out here. Peanuts and cotton, sometimes corn. They do raise some cattle out this way, so some people grow corn. Um, you have to really work the field to keep the trees from growing a lot. There's a house I like. I always like that house when I go by it. I always tell my wife, there's my house. I just like it because it looks like a cottage in Europe or something. But anyway, um, yeah, so that was my little tip with this vegan. I don't know if this vegan's going to continue trying to get me or something, trying to trigger me, but I don't understand really how vegans, if you don't agree with them, some of them they just get nasty. They call you names, and this person called me fat and ugly again. That's what they resort to. They can't just argue their point. If you say something that they can't answer or they don't have an answer for, they just call you names. So anyway, this is Highway 51 or something. I don't remember what it's called. I really don't ever pay attention to the highway names. I just know the way home. Really. People say, oh, you live out there by highway such and such. I'm like, I really don't think so. I live county roads near where I live. There ain't no highways. This is the nearest highway to my house. Well, it wouldn't be the nearest way the crow flies. There's one that goes from Eufaula up to Eufaula all the way up to Phoenix City. And that one's closer, but the way the crow flies, but it's not the closest driving. The highway I just got off of is the closest one to me driving anyway. And so this road isn't even has a county road number. It just has a name. I'm not going to say the name, but it's a road that has a name instead of a numbered designation. But it's traveled quite a bit. It goes into a lot of little communities. The way people live out here in the country, a lot of them are little communities. And that comes from back in the day when, Russell Crowe, not Russell Crowe, the Crow, something Crow laws. You know what I'm talking about. These laws that were put together, and black people weren't allowed in Eufaula. And unless they worked there, they would be hassled. I mean, they weren't even allowed in the grocery stores. They'd have to go to the back of the grocery store and tell them what they wanted. So a lot of black people built these little communities, and they put up a little grocery store where you could buy your food, because that's the way blacks were treated back in up until the 60s, really. I think it was in the 60s and 70s things started changing. They started abolishing these laws. And now there's black people live in Eufaula and stuff. And there's white people live out in these communities now. It's kind of interesting. Although where I live, me and my wife are the first white people to ever live in our community. But, and I get along with everybody except for my next door neighbor. We're kind of not speaking to each other because he came and gave me a bunch of shit for my dog being loose, which he had the right to. But just the way he did it and the things he said and the lies that he told, I was like, fuck you. I'm just not going to talk to you anymore. And I haven't talked to him since. It's been about 6 months since I've said a word to him. It doesn't matter because I have other friends out here. I don't need his crap. He's the only person that has a problem with me being white living in the neighborhood. No one else cares. But anyway, that's his business. So I get along with everybody else. And there's a few people I don't know, I haven't really met yet. There's one person that has kind of a nice little farm, but they're off the road a bit. I see them, I wave at them, but I've never talked to them. Um, so if we win the lottery, I'm going to have a big old party, invite all my neighbors over and barbecue and have some beer and beverages and cokes for the kids and all that kind of stuff. And, but it won't be now because it's too hot to do anything like that. Nobody goes outside really. I go outside for little jobs, like I went outside to put ice for the rabbits. I need to go fill all their water jugs because I use old milk jugs and I fill them with water, and then I go out there and put water in all their little water containers. Here coming up, I got to probably after I make this video, I'm going to go out there and fill the things of the rabbits. There's multi rabbits in some of the cages, and that's what I'm doing right now. So, yeah. So this is the road going home. Anyway, I got to come up with something else to say. I don't really know. My turkeys are going to get ready to move into their bigger home, and never mind. There's another road I take down. This is another road that doesn't have a county number on it. It's an actual named road too. I think I already did this loop. I don't know. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. Anyway, they didn't get all put down in order. There was like 9 clips that I made. Just holding my phone up. Yep. And so there's that little knife on the dash there. That knife is one that was stuck in a tree. I was walking my dog and I saw that knife stuck in a tree, and I pulled it out of the tree, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but there's some homes back in here. There's this little community called Lagos is the name of this community. Anyway, yeah, I think I did show this clip before, but that's okay. You get to see it again. This is kind of nice. Going through, it's all shaded. Trees almost hanging over the road. I kind of like that. Never was anything like that in Colorado. Maybe some old neighborhoods that were well established that had a lot of old oak trees and stuff that might do that. But, there's all kinds of trees. There's not very many hickory trees out here. I haven't really done the work to try to identify all these trees. I probably need to do that. I did that in Georgia. And, my last property had all those hickory trees. That's one thing I miss. Because I used to like gathering up, every time there was a storm, I'd go gather up all the branches that broke and then dry them out and use them for when I was barbecuing. And I'd get good hickory flavor. That's something I'm going to, I'd like to do again. But, I do grab wood sometimes. Especially if I'm cooking steak. Because when I cook the wood over the charcoal, it gets a lot hotter. And it comes out real. I cooked steaks the other day. Actually, me and my wife bought a bunch of steaks Saturday morning. There was a truck over in Georgia, in Georgetown, where I bought the lottery tickets, and bought a bunch of steaks. And it was like the thing you paid a certain amount for steaks. They had steak, pork, chicken, and seafood. So you buy one, and then you get another one free. Equal or lesser value, and the steak was the most expensive, so we bought the steak, and the seafood was the second most expensive. We bought that, so we got a bunch of shrimp, we got some lobster, and all kinds of steak, and a little bit of hamburger in the freezer. And most of that's for our weekend. Sundays when we eat our special meals. We're not going to eat steak every day, anything like that. So we'll have steak for quite a while on Sunday. So when we go grocery shopping, we don't have to buy any special meals for Sunday. Although I'd still like to have wings again. I like having wings, so I'll probably buy some of those, but won't have them on Sunday. So that, today I'm going to cook some fish sandwiches and have chips and I don't know, some vegetable. We're doing canned vegetables. We usually do frozen vegetables, but we're doing canned vegetables because I need the freezer space because of all the water bottles I got to take up the freezer. We're going to buy another freezer because, you know, we got all these animals we got to butcher and we need to keep them somewhere, all the turkeys and all that. In the fall, I don't use it for the water bottles, so I could probably still do that. But by next summer, I'll need to. All right, have a good one. You guys all have a better day and a better tomorrow. See ya.